And everyone's saying you should basically use AI to create content outlines and generate your first draft and then have a human edit that draft. And I do not subscribe to that at all. I've been doing SEO since 2016, and since then I've been able to work my dream job leading SEO initiatives at a multi-billion-dollar tech company. I've also been able to generate over 8 figures in revenue for clients that I've worked with, and I've also built my own website completely from scratch, growing into over 100,000 visitors per month, ranking for keywords like SEO software, AI marketing, marketing portfolios, and thousands of others. I've also ranked my own content on Bing, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. So in this video, you're going to learn the full SEO roadmap on how to learn not only to rank in traditional search engines, but AI search engines as well. And look, I'm not some SEO guru that simply just teaches and doesn't do. Most of my income comes from doing client services, so I have to be good at SEO. But I've been trying to make these videos because I believe there's not a lot of good SEO information out there from people who actually do it on a day-to-day basis. And in one of my last videos, one of you asked if I can create a video basically creating a timeline of how to learn SEO, how I would go about learning it. So that's what this video is. I'm going to give you a full 90-day roadmap on how I would learn SEO if I had to start over again. Because I know SEO can feel kind of like a black box and this like mystery thing. And even though I started doing SEO in 2016, I didn't actually really figure out what I was doing until around 2019. And I personally don't believe that I actually got good at the skill until around 2021. So it did take me a while, mainly because I was just learning through trial and error because I couldn't find a lot of good information from real seasoned experts. And I promise you, if you watch this video until the end, you will get ahead of 90% of people trying to learn how to do SEO in 2026. Okay, let's get started. So the way I think about SEO is to think about it as a highway. On the freeway or the highway, you have cars that are moving along at very fast speeds, and they're all going in different directions to different destinations. The highway is the search engine results pages, also known as SERPs in the Google and SEO world. So each individual car is a website within a search engine that is ranking. And these cars are moving. So these websites are constantly changing positions. Some are passing each other up. Some are slightly moving up. Some are moving a lot. Some are moving a little bit. There's race cars. There's normal cars. There's buses. There's all different types of websites of different shapes and sizes and speeds. And the entire highway is the entire SEO landscape with the individual cars basically being websites. So your website is your car, and your car essentially consists of 3 main things. First, you have your engine, and with that engine, you also have your fuel. And with the engine and the fuel, you have your oil. So this is how I think about SEO for any website. I think of it in these 3 buckets of engine, fuel, and oil. And this isn't necessarily a new framework. If you look up Lenny's race car growth framework, there's an analogy of using a race car when it comes to all things marketing and growth. I just took pieces of this and applied it only to SEO. And I came up with this engine, fuel, and oil framework for a single website that is trying to optimize for search engines. So let's go over what each of these means: the engine, the fuel, and the oil. So again, the anatomy of your website and the performance of it is based off of the engine, the fuel, and the oil. And this is how you're going to learn SEO. You're going to learn it in these 3 tracks in this order that I'm going in. Everything I'm talking about is the order that you should start to really think about SEO and how it stacks on each other. So your engine is going to be everything related to these bullet points right here. Web development. So this is going to be essentially how your website is built, what it's built on. Is it a WordPress website? Is it a custom built website? Is it on Squarespace? Is it on Shopify? Is it on Webflow? These things are going to matter. Most modern day website builders like Webflow or WordPress or Shopify, they've kind of established to be ready-made for SEO, but some of them are a bit easier than others to use. Some are a bit harder than others to use. My personal favorite is Webflow. I started off in the SEO space with WordPress, but I honestly, from a technical standpoint, from an engine standpoint, I feel like it's not as simple as people online say it is, mainly because there's a lot of plugins that you have to think about. There's just so many different hosting options. My favorite is Webflow because it's all built in one, and Google is also an investor in Webflow, so I've just noticed that Webflow websites tend to do really well in search engines. And my own website is built entirely in Webflow. But web development is the first part of the engine. What platform is your website built with? And then is the hosting. So how is that website actually hosted? Is the hosting speed really fast? Where are the servers around the world that are hosting this website? If you're in Copenhagen and you run this website, can somebody in Melbourne, Australia access your website very fast? At the same time, can somebody in Los Angeles also access that website really fast? If somebody is in Mumbai, can they access that website really fast? You want to make sure that your hosting is really nailed down to the point where any place in the world, as long as they have a good Wi-Fi connection or internet connection, they can access to your website. Next is the UI UX. So what does the user interface of this website look like? What is the user experience of that website? Is it like a clunky old template that looks like it's built from the 90s? Or is it a modern web design that is simple and clean to use? Is the website riddled with display ads and pop-ups that just completely ruin the user experience? Or is it very clean and just elegant to look at and just pleasing to the eyes? These things matter a lot when it comes to SEO. And you'll notice that if you have a website that is built on a solid platform with really fast hosting and has great user interface and user design, it tends to outrank other websites that don't have those things. So you can see the cars, basically looking at like an F1 car, which is what I talk about, how to create an F1 car or a supercar, versus like a maybe a slower car that is old. Newer cars that have better engines go faster. Next is your site architecture. So how is the website actually designed from a page perspective? Do you have a home page? Do you have an about page? Do you have a contact page? Are your blog posts all neatly in their own folder? Do you have landing pages that are also in their own folders? All this stuff is going to matter when it comes to building out your website, and site architecture would be another big one. And then lastly, we have content design, which a lot of people don't really talk about, and this kind of feeds a little bit into UI UX, but content design, to me at least, is how you structure your website so that when we add our fuel into it, which we'll get into in a sec, that it can actually use up that fuel to its best abilities. So I'm using a lot of like analogies here, but it's going to make a lot of sense as you go through this video. Content design is essentially how well your entire website look and feel is designed to basically feed in that content. If your website looks clunky and if it's like a dark mode and then you add on text that's also dark, even if it's the best content and best looking text, it can't be seen on the website. So content design is like, how do you make sure that your experience really matches the content that you're creating? And this matters a lot when it comes to SEO. And I think it's this whole engine pillar is really confusing for a lot of people because unlike, say, creating content on YouTube, where you simply record a video and you edit it and you publish it to youtube.com as a platform, YouTube has built out the engine itself. YouTube.com already exists. There's a place to upload your content. Same with Instagram or X or whatever. Whenever you create content on those platforms, you simply publish it to those platforms. What makes SEO different is that you essentially have to create your platform, which is the engine. So there's a lot of different nuances and moving gears and parts to it. So engine is your website. There's a clean way to build it out where you have the best platform for distribution of your content that can then make it not only show up in Google, but show up in Bing, show up in ChatGPT, show up in Perplexity, and show up in whatever new AI search engine that comes out. So first, engine. Learn how to build a really good engine. Next is your fuel. And your fuel is everything related to your content. So this entails your content strategy, which is the number one most important thing, how you actually build out content to go after not only just traffic, which is like a vanity metric, but how to actually bring in real customers to your website. If you're an e-commerce store, how do you bring in actual customers to buy your products? If you're an agency or a service provider, how do you bring people that need your services to your website so they can book a call with you? And how do you generate those leads? If you're an affiliate website, how do you bring in the right people to land on your content to want to convert and so you can get a commission? If you're a software company, how can you get the right people to land on your website at the right stage in the funnel to actually sign up for your product and then pay you for it? You get the gist. The right content strategy is really what's going to lead to actually people buying stuff from you and turning this traffic from ranking in search engines into revenue, which at the end of the day is what we're really trying to do. And if you're going to work with clients, what your clients actually care about. So content strategy is the number one most important thing when it comes to your fuel. Then it's the number of web pages. So how many pages on your website are you creating? The more pages you create on your website, the more chances you have to rank for certain keywords. The more chances you rank for certain keywords, the more chances of your visibility in search engines and people landing on your website. So the more pages generally you have, the more traffic you're going to get, but it's not always a quantity thing. It's a quantity and quality thing. But of course, the more pages you have, the more chances you have to show up in the search results. And which brings us nicely into the targeted keywords. So what keywords are those web pages targeting? Are they targeting very bottom of funnel search queries? Like I have an article around Beehive reviews. It's reviewing a software platform. That is a very bottom of funnel keyword. Are they targeting more middle of funnel keywords? Like I have an article around how to start a newsletter, which will show you how to start a newsletter using Beehive. That is more in the middle. Is it something that's more top of funnel, like my article on marketing portfolio examples, which is just showing you an example of a bunch of different portfolios? The types of keywords you go after matters a lot. And I have videos on all this stuff that I'm talking about on my channel. And I'll also create more. If you confused about any of these bullet points, leave a comment below so I know to make a video about it. Next is original copywriting and media. So original copywriting, what I mean by this is actually writing about things that you have lived experience with. And if you don't have lived experience, then you hire somebody to write for you that does have that lived experience. The way to win at SEO in 2026 is to not use ChatGPT to just spew out a bunch of content. There's a lot of useless advice and honestly bad advice going around in the SEO community right now. And one of them being around how to use AI. And everyone's saying you should basically use AI to create content outlines and generate your first draft and then have a human edit that draft. And I do not subscribe to that at all. The way that my site's been able to do well, the way that my client sites have been able to do well is that I create my outlines and my writing from my own knowledge and my own brain. Even this YouTube video, I did not use AI to create the strategy or the outline for this video. I wrote it down in my notebook. I do that for every video. And what AI is good at is helping you proofread and edit that content. But what matters the most in 2026 is who can create original insights, original media, where people have actual real opinions and net new information that doesn't already exist on the web. And alongside that is having media. So if you look at some of my blog posts, for example, I have custom images, I have screenshots, I even have YouTube videos around the same subject that I've embedded into those videos. And I think that's really what's going to win in 2026 is a lot of these personal blogs are actually going to outrank a lot of huge corporate websites that have a big authority simply if they write from lived experience and they create multiple formats of media. Some people like to read, some people like to watch, some people want images. If you can create all of that and put it together, you will beat the big billion-dollar brands. And this brings us into our last point, which is optimize for AI and algorithms. And this is essentially on-page SEO, but I've sort of rebranded it to just say it's basically just how you make sure that algorithms like traditional search engines and AI search engines and LLMs understand what your content is about, what the search intent is, and how to rank it in its search engines accordingly. And that is all within the on-page SEO. Now, these last 2 points on original copywriting and optimizing for algorithms and AI, I have a video about this. It's like 40 minutes long. It'll populate somewhere up here right now. You can go check it out. I show you exactly how to write a blog post. And actually, if you go and search that keyword that I targeted in that article, it's ranking on the first page of Google right now. So I have a full video on that. Same thing with the targeted keywords. I have another video on how to find like really hidden gem keywords to go after. And that video will also pop up right now up here if you want to check it out. So now we have engine, which is how basically your website is built and designed. We have fuel, which is the content that goes on your website into your engine. Now there's one last pillar, which is the oil. And this is going to determine how well your engine uses up your fuel. And oil to me is essentially your authority. And you can call this backlinks, topical authority, whatever you want to call it. These are the 5 pillars that I think matter for oil, with number 1 being your domain authority. So backlinks. This is when other websites link out to your website, and the more relevant they are, the better. For example, I have my own website, which is about marketing. And when a company like HubSpot, which is also really good at marketing and talks about marketing, links out to me, that is a super valuable keyword and it boosts up my domain authority. But on the contrary, if I have a blog about how to start a garden link out to my blog around marketing, it's not going to do much for my site. Even if that gardening blog has a high domain authority, it's not going to be as valuable as a website that has a lower domain authority, but it's about marketing as well. So domain authority is number 1 around backlinks. Next is topical authority. And I think this is going to matter even more in 2026, which is essentially how Google and other search engines view you as an authority in a specific topic. So for example, I have an article that ranks number 1 for SEO software, but it's not the only article about SEO. I have an article on how to write SEO blog posts. I have an article on how to create a SEO strategy for a SaaS company. I have an article around how to create content outlines for SEO. I have tons of articles around SEO and content strategy. So because I have a lot of content around SEO, whenever I create new content around SEO, it ranks faster and it ranks higher. And because I also interlink all of that content together. So in my article around SEO software and tools, I've also linked out to my article on how to write an SEO blog post. And so that creates that connection and it shows Google and other search engines that there's this web of content that I have on my site that is around SEO and that topic. And that builds topical authority. And I add that into internal links and in the oil because it sort of like lubricates the engine, where whenever I create fuel around SEO topics, the engine consumes that fuel a lot easier in that it ranks it faster. It's more likely to outrank other websites that just talk about SEO here and there. So that is a big one. I would say domain authority and topical authority are the 2 most important things in the oil category. But every bullet point, just to mention, is super important. I'm a big like signal to noise ratio guy where I love just signal and I hate noise. And so much SEO content, there's a huge noise ratio and a low signal. I'm trying to flip that. So there's a lot of other stuff I could have talked about, but it would have been kind of nonsense perceived value, like just noise. This is the actual value stuff where it's all signal. So brand authority, I would say, is more popularity. This is something you don't necessarily can control as much, but it is, in my eyes, brand is how other people talk about you when you're not in the room. So this is going to matter with your fuel. Do you create great content on your website? Are you well known for being, an authority in a certain topic or in a certain niche and people really love that? If you do develop that, then you build your brand authority because people start talking about you. And one way you can measure this is to look in Google and see if people are actually searching your brand name. Because if people are searching your brand, maybe you're running ads, maybe you're doing influencer campaigns, maybe you're creating content on social, people are going to start searching up your company name or your brand name or your personal brand in Google. And if you see your branded search volume going up, that's a good indicator that your brand authority is growing. And I actually personally only really work with clients that have brand authority already built. If they have terrible fuel, which most clients that I work with, there's no fuel, but they have a decent engine and they have decent oil when it comes to brand authority. And just simply having that really speeds up the process if I add in really good fuel into their website. That brand authority really helps with getting the most out of the fuel. Next is PR, and this is essentially mentions, and this is sort of making a comeback now with LLMs and AI search. It ties very much into domain authority with backlinks. It just means like people mentioning you. It also ties into brand authority. So if people are talking about your brand on Reddit or in different forums or a LinkedIn post or on X or on any social media platform, even if they're not directly linking to your website, if they're talking about your brand, this helps you show up a lot more in LLMs and AI search and really like traditional search engines as well. So this all kind of just helps your fuel get used up more efficiently. And the last one, which is actually my favorite because I don't see a lot of people talking about it, is other traffic sources. And this is basically this traffic that your website gets outside of just SEO. So you want to have a diverse portfolio of traffic sources for your website if you want to do really well at SEO in 2026 and moving forward. Google and regular search engines love websites that don't just game search engines for traffic. They want to basically see publishers, which a publisher is basically any website that creates content for the purpose of it showing up in Google. So me, you, all of us, we're all publishers. Us publishers, Google loves the ones that don't just rely on SEO as a traffic source, that they have traffic from other places like YouTube, like social media, like Pinterest, like an email list, which is huge. You don't have to have all of these, but if you can have a little bit of traffic coming from other areas outside of just search engines, then this can actually really help with your SEO rankings indirectly. And one of my favorites is actually creating a newsletter and an email list. So say if you have a blog post that you wrote and you post in a newsletter, it can actually help with your SEO rankings. And I realized this when I was working at Webflow back in 2019. We had a blog post that was ranking on the bottom of the first page of Google around position number 7. And I put that blog post in our newsletter, which went out to like 500,000 people. And in a day, that blog post got like 3,000 clicks. And within a couple days, that article that was ranking number 7, it just automatically jumped to like position number 4, simply from it just having a surge of traffic come from a different source that was outside of SEO. And this is like the off-page signals, because it shows Google that, hey, this page is getting a lot of traffic. It's probably valuable. Let's show it to more people that are using our search engine. So that's that. The better oil you have that can go into your engine, the better your fuel will be consumed. But obviously, as you can see, all of these 3 pillars matter. I would say the engine and the fuel is the most important, but having that oil is how you're going to get that competitive edge against other people that are just focusing on engine and fuel. Okay, now that we know the entire landscape of things that you need to learn and pay attention to, let's go ahead and do a 90-day roadmap on how to learn SEO in 2026. So this is a typical 90-day roadmap, but let's modify this a bit, and we're going to do this. The 90-day roadmap for learning SEO, I would say that there's a section of day 1 to day 10, which is essentially building out your website and your engine. Get really good at building the right engine. There's tons of videos on YouTube around how to do this. You know what to look out for, which is the goal of this video, is to teach you the things you should try to go out and learn. I know SEO is a lot of like, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm trying to show you the things that you should be aware of and should know. So even if I currently don't have videos on these topics, ask me anything and I'll make a video about it, or just go out and learn that section that you need to learn. So first 10 days, I would say, is building out your engine. Then day 10 to day 60, I would say, is your fuel. Your fuel is the most important part of this entire thing, because without new pages on your site, without content, what is there to rank? So really in this section, you want to spend the first, I would say, 5 days to a week building out your content strategy. And if you look up SaaS content marketing in Google, I have a blog post on how to create a content strategy. It's for a software company, but I think it can be applied to e-commerce and media companies as well. So go ahead and give that a read. That should show you how to create a full content strategy. I also have a paid program on this that you can check out on my website. But for the sake of this video, I just want to mention that the first 5 days really focus on the content strategy, creating the right topics to go after, finding the right keywords to target, and then from day 15 to day 60 is writing those articles, publishing those pages, and you want to publish at least 10 new pages, 10 new articles in that span so you have enough ground to start seeing success at the end of 90 days. Then once you hit day 60 to day 75, that's all around the oil. So building out your social profiles, posting some of your blog posts on social media, maybe going on LinkedIn and creating a little blurb of a piece of content you wrote and then linking in the comments to that article. This could also be building backlinks. So if you look at my last video on how I signed my first high ticket SEO client, I talk about the backlink strategy and something you can really do in there. So go and check that video. It's towards the end of the video, but build your backlinks and don't go out buying backlinks. It's against Google's guidelines. You want to actually do real collaborations with people in your niche, and you're not trying to game Google. If you have really great content that you wrote in the fuel section of this roadmap, then people are most likely going to want to collaborate with you and also mention your content in their content as well. Again, watch that other video. I'll have something up here where you can go check it out on that backlink section. And then by day 75, you just kind of wait it out, to be honest. SEO takes time. If you're a brand new website, 90 days is not necessarily too much time to really see positive results. I do believe if you do everything right from the engine and the fuel and the oil, that within 90 days, you will start seeing rankings already. You may even rank number 1 or in the top 3 positions if you know what you're doing and if you're in a low competition industry. I've done it myself, but obviously it was because I knew what I was doing. But I believe this is the best roadmap to go after. And at the end of 90 days, you kind of do a retrospective of what just happened in those 3 months. And then you learn from it and you move forward. To be honest, like I said, SEO takes some time. Today, for me, SEO is really fast if I write the right topics, simply because I've spent the better half of 4 years building out content on my website. And it took a while. It took 2 years to actually see really meaningful results and make revenue enough to the point where I can confidently quit my 9-to-5 job and do SEO for myself and clients full time. But that's it. This is exactly how I would learn SEO in 2026 if I was starting all over again and I had zero knowledge of what I have today. I would follow the engine, fuel, and oil framework, and I would really sit down and nail each bullet point that we talked about in this video, and I would research them. And basically now with ChatGPT, you can give all this stuff to ChatGPT and help you create a roadmap on how to learn each thing one by one. Obviously, don't use AI to write content, but you can use it to help you learn and iterate on stuff. And that's it. If you learn anything from this video, I'd love it for you to leave a like. It really helps out the algorithm, and leave a comment if you got stuck on anything or you want me to clarify. I answer every single comment, and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time I drop a new video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.